Hello, I'm with Dr. Carl Siegel, who is an Episcopalian, an organic chemist, a scientist, and a theologian. And we're going to talk a little bit about his life and his journey in a minute. But Carl is with us on Please Note today specifically to talk about a preaching possibility for care of creation. Carl, what are you all doing? Preaching. Tell us about this preaching.
Well, Bishop Curry, I'm so excited to be here and talking with you about this. The preach-in is sponsored by National Interfaith Power and Light. Interfaith Power and Light is the leading faith voice in this country and in our state on trying to work with faith communities on understanding the causes and consequences of climate change and to look for practical solutions. North Carolina is one of the leading participants in that organization, and annually we sponsor a preach-in. The preach-in this year will be held on February 14th through 16th, but I want everybody to know that we would really like to have all congregations in the diocese participate in this, but you don't have to do it on that particular weekend. Many churches have already planned their whole year. There are many ways that you can participate. It can be on that Sunday. At Church of Nativity, we have routinely now, over the last 3 years, I would say, have actually had a service that had ecological liturgy and sermon on the preach-in. But congregations have the flexibility to participate that weekend, or it can be by organizing events or holding similar services on other Sundays in the year, or it could be something like maybe establishing an environmental stewardship committee within your congregation. There's many ways that you can participate in the preach-in.
Now, you are an organic chemist, you are a scientist, but you are also a theologian. You've had a journey I know you would say you're not a PhD theologian, but you are. You have been engaging the link between science and theology. And how did you get to do that? And I'm going to ask you more about that. But how did that journey happen for you?
Well, I was very fortunate to be at Church of Nativity, where Mother Diane Corlett started about 10 years ago a adult formation program called Faith and Science. I was the scientific part of that leadership team that put that program together, and Reverend David Buck was the theologian.
Oh, yeah.
Well, through that experience, I realized I needed to know a whole lot more about my own faith. And so I enrolled in Education for Ministry. Through the Faith and Science Dialogue and then EFM, I really began to understand the important connection between our faith and science, and how through developing all of the wonderful enhancements that science brings us, we have to understand that if we don't do that in a moral, ethical way, caring for those who are most in need, that we're missing the boat about the whole thing. I think through this journey, it really makes one understand what we mean by the Holy Spirit. The feeling that you get from understanding these aspects of reality and how they interplay in all of our life, and what our true mission on this planet is, that we are to care for our neighbor, and I include that, to care for my grandchildren, and care for all of life on this planet. And we have to do that through a holistic view of taking care of all of creation.
And that's the message that needs to be preached and proclaimed, and that's what this preaching is about.
Absolutely.
Well, we're including information on this preaching with this edition of Please Note and encouraging churches and congregations, if they can do it between Valentine's Day and Earth Day, great. But if you can't do it then, you can do it between Valentine's Day and New Year's Day. But whenever you do it, to carry the message that you just said.
And there's 120 million people of faith in this country. If we can all get them to understand that we all need to talk out on this issue of caring for creation, bring it from the periphery into a central part in our spiritual lives, we will make a great difference for future generations and for all life on this planet.
I promise you, with Please Note, I would always find some interesting and fascinating people to introduce you to. And Dr. Carl Siegel, you are one of those interesting and fascinating people. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, and keep the faith.